Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Loyalty Chats with Tom. I'm privileged to be joined today by Tim Mason. It's an absolute pleasure to have you today, Tim. For those of you who don't know, Tim Mason is CEO of Eagle Eye and formerly CMO of Tesco, and also author of several books, I believe. So, Tim, perhaps you could introduce us.
Well, author of one book, two editions, whether that counts as being an author of several books, I think. But anyhow,
I think that counts.
yeah, okay, well, that's very kind of you. Yeah, hi, I'm Tim, as you say, CEO of Eagle Eye. I was the guy that originally launched Clubcard at Tesco 30 years ago next year. And Tom, I'm delighted to be with you. The Tim Tom Show or the Tom Tim Show or something like
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is today. Wow, that's unbelievable. 30 years since Clubcard started. That is something else, actually. It's hard to imagine that it's been that long.
I had a Laura hair in those days.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining today. For those of you that haven't watched these podcasts before, these are short, insightful, engaging, and informative. Subject matter is always about loyalty and the loyalty industry. The idea is that we're no more than 15 minutes. It's perfect for your lunch break, your coffee break, or even your journey home. So today we're going to be talking about manners in marketing. Is that right, Tim?
Yeah, well, I sort of came up with this phrase, and I was sort of quite pleased with it after I'd come up with it, and I'm glad somebody mentioned it to you. I sort of concluded that good marketing is good manners, and that if as a marketeer making your way in the industry, you want a yardstick. Would your mum be proud? If your mum would be proud, it's probably good marketing. If she wouldn't be proud, it probably isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really like it. It's great. I think I'm not going to be able to claim credit for this. I'm going to have to give credit to Martin Pang, your marketing director, who coined this phrase in an email to me. But I do really like it. I do really like it, and I think you've kind of phrased it slightly different as the golden rule of marketing, right? In the past.
Well, yes, I mean, I think the golden rule perhaps is the essence of good manners, which is really the golden rule is about treating people the way they want to be treated. And that's sometimes difficult to judge. So, as a minimum, treat people the way you would like to be treated in the situation that they are in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that if you can do that in everything, but so therefore in your business relationships and in your marketing relationships, then that puts you in very good stead. And for me, is the essence of loyalty.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think it's a very big part that is often overlooked. I think as marketers or as loyalty program managers or strategists, we often default to, oh, can I personalize the message? How many points can I give away? How can I give targeted offers, etc.? We think about those kind of initiatives, and the KPIs are around potentially revenue growth. How many people have I got in the program? Can I increase NPS, frequency, volume? But actually, it's key to treating the customer well. That is absolutely the key to loyalty. If you might be loyal to a brand for some time, but if you are treated badly, if you have an issue, that can alienate you from the brand completely.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, we used to talk about, I think probably Paul Weinberger, who was at Lowe and then Red Brick Road, coined this phrase, which was, it's like a credit account. And the more you behave with loyalty, you build up a deposit in this credit account. If you've got enough money in there or enough credit in there, if you let somebody down, you'll still be in credit. They'll forgive you.
Yeah.
If you haven't got much credit in there, you'll go into overdraft and then you're in real trouble.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I think consumers by and large, I mean, one of the things that working in the loyalty and personalization space is you shouldn't generalize, but generally people are reasonably fair. What is it? sort of around 10% of people are just willfully difficult, apparently, something like that. People who get written up famously for being beasts in restaurant. There's
Yeah.
about 10% of people who are like that. But the other 90% are pretty decent, pretty fair, and respond well to being treated the way they want to be treated.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it's important, therefore, that the brand reflects that back, right? So I think potentially if you are not careful, you could create loyalty programs or marketing initiatives that feel too transactional.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Completely.
Yeah.
Another name from the past, Richard Brasher, who ended up being CEO at Pick and Pay. His big aha when he really got his hands on the steering wheel of Clubcard was the value in leavening the transaction with the give. And in fact, if I come right up to date, Eagle Eye bought a business called Untie Knots, which does AA-based continuity promotions.
Mm-hmm.
And what they say to the retailer is you have to get the right combination of, oh, well, I'll do that one because I always buy that. Surely I spend €10 on that, and they're only asking me to spend 12. That looks, now the consumer doesn't really know whether they spend 10 or 8 or not, or whatever, but the AI clearly does.
Yeah.
But they go, well, why wouldn't I? I always buy Tropicana. I always buy Danone. And then suddenly there's one and they go, oh, I've never bought that, but I'm sort of in the clicking mood now. And they click on that
Yeah.
one too. And if you allow, as a retailer, branded manufacturers only to say, I only want to talk to people who don't buy my product, you'll have a promotion that doesn't work and you'll have no uptake. And they won't get any uptake from people who don't buy their product because everybody just says, there's nothing in there for me. It's not interesting. And they go away and they do something else with their precious time. So
Yeah.
I think this, this balance between give and get, thank and stretch, however you want to describe it, is is absolutely key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've said something there that I think is really key is the thank you. I think that it's not necessarily enough anymore that the points reward or the discount is the thank you. People need to be acknowledged and recognized for their loyalty. So saying thank you and rewarding in a more personal way like that is becoming more and more important, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think one of the reasons why Eagle Eye is such a great business to work for is because it's in a great market. It's in it's basically our secret sauce is our ability to personalize
Yeah.
at huge scale. And we now have ability to drive that personalization through Eagle AI as well, using AI algorithms and machine learning. Now, so it's a great space to be in because in a world where you've got Spotify and you've got Netflix and you've got all these other things who are slowly but progressively tailoring better and better to you and for you, it becomes your expectation. I think one of the mistakes that business people make is that they think that their silo, their industry is somehow lives in a vacuum, but it doesn't. It lives in the world of all the other brands that people experience. And it may be desperately unfair to say to a fashion brand, I expect you to be like Spotify, but the reality is they do.
Yeah.
And of course, it's much harder for a bricks and mortar fashion brand because they don't have the frequency, they don't have the data, and so they don't have the insight. So it's much harder to do.
Yeah.
But it is what the consumer expects.
Yeah, absolutely. Our expectations are so high. I feel like it has accelerated very quickly over the last few years, and I think people are looking for that personal touch, absolutely. But what does that really mean for a brand? Because not every brand can say thank you for everything that they do, because we'd just be inundated then with different messages of that nature. So how does a brand kind of get that right?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I think that's a matter for personalization in the
Mm,
sense that some people like, you know, if you think, again, this is back to the good manners point.
yeah.
Some people find being thanked for stuff embarrassing.
Mm,
Other people, it's their fuel. You know, oh, well, I did this for them and they didn't say thank you. And, you know, we've all heard the speech from an auntie or an uncle or somebody, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I sent one of the children a check and they didn't say thank you, and all that stuff. So I think it is my, my favorite example a bit after I left the grocery industry was everybody with great sort of pride said, we listen to customers, we're stopping multi-buys. Well, a customer didn't want, you know,
Yeah.
a family of 4 young kids who eat boxes of breakfast cereal a day did not want multi-buys to go away.
No.
Time-pressed people shopping in a convenience store being told they needed to buy 3 bags of salad said quite rightly, this is bloody ridiculous.
Mm,
The, the truth was you shouldn't have stopped multi-buys. You should have personalized it to the people that needed it, you know. And so for me, personalize it is really the answer to your question is you get the thank right by personalizing. The other
yeah.
thing is, and you know, this is a bit hard nosed in the loyalty world, but or sorry, it's a bit hard nosed in the soft and fluffy world of good manners. So it probably says more about me than anything. But 20% of people account for 80% of your business.
Yeah.
You are duty bound, as you know, if you're not asleep at the wheel, you're thanking them, you're looking after them, you're working out what would you, all those things. Because the amazing thing about loyal customers is they have headroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even let's say, you know, you're a brand that sells a particular tablet and they buy you take 2 a day and they buy 2 a day, so they're absolutely maxed out.
Mm,
If they really like you and they think you're really good and you do it really well, they will be incredibly well disposed to other things that you do,
absolutely. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And so if you say, well, I can't sell any more tablets, no, you can't. But that 20, learn more about what that 20% of people want from you
Yeah.
and your brand and your category and your sector, because they are gold dust.
Yeah.
And what most businesses do is they spend too much money, not even on the bottom 20% of their customers, but on people who aren't even customers, trying to persuade them to become customers, which means they don't have enough money left to thank and protect and cosset the 20% who pay all the bills and do everything,
Yeah.
you know. And it's completely arse about face.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, it's about getting the basics right, being polite and respectful, and engaging the consumer in a way that they want to be treated. And you can only find that out from the data. And we always say when we're building strategy for brands, is like, well, let's find out what the customers love about your brand, and that comes from that 20%. What do they love about your brand, and let's build loyalty around that. And I think if you do that and you do it well, like you say, you get the basics right, you talk to them in the right way, you're polite, you're respectful, you're thankful, then your customer base will love you. And then you can use that insight to grow your business.
2 other adjectives to add, it if it is an adjective: thoughtful
Yeah.
and creative.
Yeah. Great. I
You
love
know,
that. Yeah.
one of the reasons why this stuff remains interesting, I think, is no matter what a machine tells you to do, the way you can dress it creatively can make a huge, huge difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that you know, and people mustn't forget that. I think when you started at the beginning, and you know, it's interesting how this conversation ebbs and flows a bit. There is a tendency to think about bits and bytes and techniques and tech stacks and, you know, all, rather than just this absolutely fundamental point that you need to treat people in the right way.
Absolutely.
And the technology is not an end in its own right. Loyalty schemes are not an end in their own right. You know, when ASOS gave up having a loyalty scheme, they did exactly the right thing, because you know, you have a loyalty scheme because that is the give to get the data to enable you to do the personalization, which enables you to say thank you.
Yeah.
And that's where you make your money.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're already getting all the data, you don't give up on loyalty. You don't stop encouraging people to be more loyal, but you target that money in a personalized way at driving loyalty, rather than spending it all as a generic discount across the piece.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, look, we're coming to the end of our 15 minutes, I'm afraid, but that has been absolutely fascinating. And I think it's, as a summary, it is about getting the basics right. It is about not thinking too much about um, your your technology or your communication and offer strategy. Actually, it's being fundamentally what is important to the customer. Find out what they love about your brand. Be obsessed about that bit. The other things will follow. And
Yeah.
I think that's where brands need to think about going with this in the future.
Can I
Tim,
give you
thank you. Oh yeah, please.
well, before I go,
Yeah, please.
to go with marketing being good manners, I think your destination is growth, your vehicle is loyalty, and your fuel is the golden rule, which leads to personalization.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's really good. Thank you very much. We will definitely live by that as we move forward, and so should many brands as they embark on their loyalty journey. So thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, very insightful. Hope you enjoyed it too.
I did enjoy it very much. Thank you very much for inviting me, Tom. And I hope
My
everybody
pleasure.
had a great coffee break, enriched by our conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. Enriched and engaged. Thank you very much,
Take
Tim.
care.
We'll speak
All the
soon.
best.